Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. It's been a hot minute since I last did a home theater tour. In fact, it's been just over a year, about a year and 2 months, and pretty much everything has changed in my home theater. So I thought I'd give an updated home theater tour of my setup. Now, this video is in no way to brag on anything that I have in my setup, but my desire as a content creator and with a passion for home theater is to share and inspire other people's setup as well as my own so that you can get some ideas for your home theater. Now, before we jump into the tour, if this is the first time that we're meeting, my name is Michael Stevens and I love home theater. I've been passionate about home theater since I was a teenager, and on this channel I love sharing tips as well as reviews and home theater tours like this. So if you're into that, make sure you're subscribed. Now, enough talking, let me give you a tour of my home theater setup. All right, so as we walk down the hallway, one thing that we changed is I painted the outside door black because, as you'll see in a moment, recently we painted the entire theater room so it has a black and gray color scheme. So we wanted that to match as you enter the room. My room dimensions, including behind the cabinet, is 13 feet wide by 19 feet deep with 10-foot ceilings. Up front, I have a 150-inch diagonal Seymour Center Stage XD acoustic transparent screen. The cabinet was made from unfinished red oak and stained in a cherry finish. Now, flanking each side of the screen, we have a custom column that was consisted of about 96 pieces. At the top of each column, we have a hand-carved leaf. Along the top, we have various medallions that are hand-carved as well. So now let's work our way from right to left at the bottom of the cabinet. So over here to the far right, we've got a drawer that allows me to pretty much store things like remote controls, but now I use my theater seats to store my remote controls, so pretty much this sits empty. Behind this door is our first media cabinet, and so down here, we just got a drawer where I store all of my Blu-ray and 4K collection. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot, and that's because my son used to buy them all, but now that he moved out and is married, I'm beginning to purchase my own. So I've got just a small collection here. Now, each drawer was handcrafted and even uses hand-carved dovetails. And then sitting on the top is a charger for my Harmony Elite remote control that we'll talk about in just a little bit, as well as some various DVDs and DTS discs that I give away here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed because I'll be giving away the rest of these in the near future. Behind the next door is my PS5 as well as an Nvidia Shield. Now, I use the PS5 to mostly just play video games with my son. Now that he is moved out and he's married, it's just a great way for him and I to stay connected throughout the week. We typically play 2 or 3 times a week. We usually play Call of Duty, either Cold War or Warzone, or even Zombies. And to the left of that is the Nvidia Shield, and I use that mainly as a Plex server and to stream Netflix. Next, we have the Panamax 5500 line conditioner and surge protector. Honestly, I don't think it really does a whole lot as far as sound. It's just basically an expensive power surge and surge protection unit. And then below that is my Marantz AV7706 processor. Now, I've been extremely impressed with this processor. I've owned the Marantz SR8012 AVR, then I upgraded to the AV7705, and then now the 7706. This thing has just performed flawlessly and it sounds really, really incredible in my home theater. For Blu-ray and 4K playback, I have my Pioneer Elite UDP LX500 4K player. Then below that is a AC Infinity Aircom cooling system that keeps the amplifier cool. And then below that, powering my entire system, is the Monolith 11X amplifier. The 11X consists of 3 front channels at 200 watts each, and then powers the remaining 8 speakers at 100 watts each. Now this amplifier is extremely well built, and Monoprice partnered with ATI on the construction and build of this design, and it provides more than adequate enough power for my entire system. Now, if you've been following my channel, I recently finished up an entire series on a massive outdoor speaker system from OSD. Up top, you can see the OSD SRT4, which is a 4-zone streaming media server. I use the SRT4 to stream media from my phone into the outdoor speaker system and to be able to control each zone independently. Below that is the XMP 500 DSP amplifier that I use to power the 8 wall speakers that we refer to as the Youthman wall of sound. Below that is their SMP 1000 DSP subwoofer amplifier that we use to power 2 12-inch burial subwoofers. That's right, I've got 2 12-inch subs in my outdoor speaker system. And then down below we have an MX880, which powers all of the 4 Rock speakers. Now, if you're interested in this series, I'll post a link to it right in the card above, as well as down in the description below. Next, we have over on the far right is the Lutron Hub. Now, I use this to connect wirelessly to my Lutron dimmers that controls 5 different zones in my room, and I'll show you that in just a moment. To the left of that is my Orbi wireless mesh network. Now, this provides Wi-Fi to this end of the house. I also have another satellite on the opposite side of the house, and then we have the main Orbi router in my office. So this satellite is hardwired with an Ethernet cable, and then I use another Ethernet cable coming out of the Orbi satellite going into a 4-port switch. And then that switch allows me to hardwire each one of my components, such as my PS5, my processor from Marantz, and my Blu-ray player. And from that switch, I connect each one of my components so that they each have internet access. And then over on the far left, we have an access panel to 5 Lutron cassette dimmers. Now, we wired up my room to where I have 5 different lighting zones. The top dimmer controls the 4 can lights in the front of my room. The second dimmer controls the 2 rear can lights over my rear seats. The third dimmer controls a set of LED lights around the exterior of my screen. The fourth dimmer controls the 3 arch lights above my screen. And the fifth dimmer is connected to some LED lights behind my screen that I like to refer to as the reveal lights. Now, this is similar to what you see at an IMAX theater when they illuminate the speakers behind the screen. And each one of the 5 zones can be controlled via Alexa. Arch lights off. Front lights off. Rear lights off. Screen lights on. Speaker lights on. Oh yeah. And speaking of speakers, let's take a look behind the screen to see what we've got. So my front LCR consists of 3 clipped La Scalas. Now, these are horn-loaded speakers, so they have a horn-loaded tweeter, a horn mid-range, as well as a horn-loaded bass driver. So in the back of this cabinet, it has a 15-inch woofer that fires to the back, and then the sound radiates out through the front port. In between the La Scalas are a pair of JTR Captivator RS2 subwoofers. Now, each speaker has dual 18-inch woofers in a sealed cabinet, and it has a 4,000 watt continuous amplifier. Now, these are beast subwoofers. They pressurize my room like I've never experienced, and they are flat in my room down to 8 Hertz, and I've produced up to about 115 dB, which is way more than what I typically would listen to while watching a movie. So for my side surrounds as well as my surround back speakers, I'm using Klipsch RS62 version 2s. Now these are wide dispersion speakers, so they have a driver, 6.5-inch driver and a tweeter firing one direction, and then a 6.5 and a tweeter firing the opposite direction. And so this is designed to kind of envelop the sound around you and just make a really immersive sound. Now, back when I built the theater room 14 years ago, these were the recommended type of speakers for your surrounds. But now with Dolby Atmos, and we're now using object-based surround, I'm probably going to swap these out eventually with direct radiating speakers, which are basically like your direct firing front-facing speakers, so that it won't be like a bipole, or some people call them a dipole design. For Dolby Atmos, I'm using 4 in-ceiling Klipsch CDT 5800C version 2 speakers. The ceiling is painted flat black, and then I also spray painted any of the white trim pieces like around the can lights as well as the vent covers. Now I also carefully spray painted the in-ceiling speaker grills, but I removed the speaker grills for this video just so that we could see the speakers. The 150-inch screen is supported by gas shocks that allows me easy access to my front 3 speakers as well as my subwoofers. Now when I lower the screen down, it attaches right here to this little latch, and then I can reach back here and pull this lever, which releases that to allow me to lift up the screen. Another thing that was real important when I had this cabinet built is I wanted easy access behind my equipment. I know that I'm always upgrading and trying out new things as well as reviewing product, and so having to reach in through the front, try to wire up a 7.2.4 Dolby Atmos system is really tedious and painful. So I had this cabinet built in such a way that I can easily access behind this cabinet. So we just pull out, and I've got easy access to climb in there. We've got plenty of space underneath. As you can see, I've done cable management as best as I can. I tend to use a lot of Velcro straps, really like those, in case I need to undo the cable management if I get new equipment in. We ran a dedicated 20-amp circuit to all of the equipment in the room, and the subwoofers both are placed on a switched outlet. So you can see right here, I've got 2 little outlets. I can switch 1 or 2 of the subwoofers on or off by the flip of a switch. And since I have 6 speaker wires coming from the outdoor living system into the theater room, you can see here I use some flex tubing that I picked up on Amazon to help tidy the wires. Now when I'm working behind the screen or underneath the cabinet, I've got a light switch right here that I can turn on that illuminates behind the cabinet as well as underneath the cabinet. And then when I'm finished, all I have to do is push it in. Lowering the screen, give it a little push, and it latches shut. Now to produce the 150-inch diagonal image in my theater room, I now have the JVC DLA NX7 projector. To meet the required throw distance for that size of a screen, I needed to mount the projector outside the room. To do that, we cut a hole in the wall, put a frame around it, ended up knocking out part of a closet wall. Now because of the size and weight of the NX7, I chose, instead of using a ceiling mount, to build a DIY shelving system. Now this shelving system was really inexpensive to build and consists of some plywood, 2x4s, screws, some threaded rods, and some nuts. And since nobody will see it, well, except for this video of course, it didn't really have to look very pretty. But it's rock solid, and I can easily adjust the height of the shelf. Now when I built my home theater, I wanted to make sure that I had enough seating for my family of 6. And so originally I started out with some that I found on Craigslist, and then over the past couple of years I was able to upgrade those to what we see now, which is the Valencia Tuscany theater seats up front. I really love these seats. They're super soft, very comfortable, and they've got so many features that my previous seats did not have. So each area has an armrest, and so we've got plenty of storage in there for remote controls. Over here I've got my headphones when I'm gaming. I've got space for my Harmony Elite remote control. Each one of the cup holders has an LED light inside the cup holder. We've got USB cables, Of course, they recline. There's even an option to lock the buttons, because sometimes when you place your hand on here, you'll bump the buttons and you'll start reclining by accident. But we can unlock that, and then I can recline. They do make a little squeaking noise. I've always heard that. Never tried really any kind of lubricant to make them kind of slide better. But a couple of things I really like about these, again, that my previous seats did not have, is the headrest. So as you're laying back, so I'm typically about like right here, so my eyes are kind of angled up towards the ceiling. And so I can reach down here and adjust this headrest to get my eyes exactly where I need them to be, which is right at my screen. And so that's a really convenient feature. And then for those of you that have like need more back support, it's got lumbar support here. I really don't use that very much, but that option is there as well. The other cool thing that they have is the right here, these are little kind of like adapters that you can put a wine glass holder or a stem glass holder. They sell a tray table, and then they also have a tablet holder as well for those of you that have like iPads and things like that. If you want to set that up in here and maybe use that to control your theater room, I think that's pretty slick. But the biggest thing, man, is just the comfortability. I love the way that these seats feel. Just super, super soft leather with, I think it's like 10,000 grain Napa leather. And then the rear seats, I just got those in. Those are the Tuscany version, but the console. So the middle section folds down. I've got a video on pretty much all the stuff in my theater room. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, you can always search Youthman plus whatever I'm talking about, whether it's Youthman Harmony Elite, Youthman Clips, Youthman JTR. You'll find the videos on these various products. But the rear seats are the brand new Oxford with the fold down console. So it's got an option there for plugging in devices, maybe a laptop, maybe cell phone. It's got USB charging. And then they've got little cup holders and a little tray table. And so I recently did a review on that, so you can check that out on the channel. But those are super soft as well. The only kind of major drawback with that one, to me, is the fact that you don't have that recline in the center, but it really just depends on your needs. Most of the time, this guy is right here. This is my primary listening position and my primary viewing position. So I don't sit back there very much, but that's also nice if you want to be able to lay down. So of course here, because of the armrest, you wouldn't be able to do that. That's kind of more like a couch style. Now the rear seats are sitting on a custom riser that we built. Inside the riser, we have insulation as well as Romex. So we've got power going to the very front of the riser, and that allows me to plug in my front seats, which require electricity. Each side of the riser has a step, and as you can see, we did the carpet ourselves, and so it's not like professionally done, but I think overall it turned out really nice. Now when we bought this new construction home, this room and this space on the floor plan was a media room. And so I imagine most people would put like a pool table or a ping pong table in here, maybe a beanbag and some video games or something like that with a TV. Of course, I wanted to make it a dedicated theater room. But one of the issues with this room is right behind here is a double sliding glass door. Now, not until too long ago, this section brought in quite a bit of light into this room. And so what I ended up doing recently when we painted this room, I figured it was time to kind of update these curtains. So I bought these really thick curtains on Amazon, pretty inexpensive. And then right back here, you can see this is a blackout. It's a static cling. And so it's really cool. At any point I could remove that and there's no residue. It's just water that was holding that on. But I've got a video on how I installed that as well as the fabric that I use. So if you've got a window that you need treated and you want to darken that, on the outside it just looks like a reflective mirror. So I know it doesn't work for every application. You might not want to do that on your living room, but if you've got a room, maybe it's a kind of like not an attic, but a bonus room, and maybe there's light that's coming through there, or maybe it's a guest bedroom and you want to kind of darken that up, definitely highly recommend that. Again, I've got videos on my channel on how I installed that. And for acoustic treatment, I have several DIY acoustic panels. These are about 2 foot by 4 foot, and about 2 to 3 inches thick. Now the first two were placed in the first reflection point, but the remaining were placed throughout the room just to fit cosmetically. Now these were a huge improvement on the overall sound quality of my room, because prior to not having them, I had a massive slap echo which really muddied the sound in my room. Now of course, no home theater is ever really finished, now is it? And so over the past 14 years, this theater room has just continually evolved. New equipment, new seating, bigger projection screen, better projector, and just like you at home, you're trying to figure out what can I do to make my home theater the best I can with the budget that I've got. And so on my channel, I've got tons of other home theater tours that could give you some inspiration from more expensive ones than mine, and then also some very budget-friendly ones as well. Now I'm looking forward to doing more home theater tours in the near future, both here locally in Florida, as well as I'll be doing some traveling. So if you've got an awesome home theater that you'd love for me to feature here on the Youthman channel, I want to encourage you to head over to my website, hometheatertours.com, and there's an option there to submit your home theater for the possibility of a tour. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I've got more home theater tours right here that you can check out, as well as on my home theater tours website. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.